December 2023 update. We are starting a new segment of the show titled Streets Talking, a Patreon only series that will be uploaded weekly, featuring radio show format conversations and interviews from graffiti crews, artists, skaters, lawyers, chefs, painters, and more. This month's Streets Talking feature criminal defense attorney Ed Kratt in conversation with Rebo, Leo Fitzpatrick talking with Ian Hurt DeBeer, the LNE crew, and more. Streets Talking Radio, now available on our Patreon every week. Patreon members are sent issues of Living Proof magazine, any monthly products we put out, weekly Streets Talking episodes, as well as access to our entire archival video and episode library. If you want to support the show, that's the best way to do it. Towards the end of the month, we're running a food drive in Queens, cooking hot meals and distributing food to the community. The details will be released as the date approaches. Thank you, and enjoy the episode. Peace.
You are listening to Living Proof Radio, a radio show and magazine supported by Art Primo, a graffiti shop like no other that has been proudly serving the community from New York to Seattle and beyond. Mops, ink, paint, sketchbooks, markers, and much, much more. ArtPrimo.com. The highest level.
So I'm skating at Williamsburg Monument, minding my fucking business. Me and my homies start talking shit, and one of them's like, says something to me, and I'm like, yo, whatever, like, I'll slap you up. We ended up slap boxing. He slapped the shit out of me relatively easily. I was like, oh shit. Googled it, everything, came across boxing, went down the rabbit hole on Google, YouTube, everything. You know, one of the best, it is, in my opinion, and pretty widely regarded, like the best just punching system. If you're just punching, this is like the way to go. Then I started boxing in New York. I got super into it. It even actually like really took me away from skating a lot because I got so heavily into it, and like your body can only take so much, you know, physical abuse, honestly, especially if you're sparring and doing all that. So I started boxing, and I remember like, you know, those experiences were so surreal to me. Coming from like skateboard graffiti background, like boxing is like really, it's like athletes in that shit, you know. People who are so far removed from anything that I was into, and I would like spar for the first time and first many times, and I was like, dude, like you are straight up defenseless against these dudes. If they're really good and they know what they're doing, like they could kill you. They're being nice. So yeah, I got super into that. Come across you, and I'm like, oh damn, like, you know, he's like a fucking legitimately skating and also doing this boxing shit. So yeah, what's up with that? How did you get into that?
Well, it first started, I've always been into boxing, like growing up. Never really watched like the present day boxing, but was just like the classic, like older fighters and everything that everyone kind of knows of. But my friend Benny, who like does all the hockey stuff, he is like heavily into boxing, and he would like kind of show me like the dudes that are in boxing present day, like Triple G, just like dudes who are like pretty badass at boxing, like in champions and stuff today. So I saw all that stuff and was just like started watching, and then I got into a knee injury and I couldn't skate, so it was kind of like I've always wanted to try boxing, and it was like might as well just like do something in the meantime while I have like a lot of downtime. But I like went to a gym and just started training, and then it was like something that I got obsessed with. Like you said, it just like went down a rabbit hole, and it's been like that ever since.
Was it hard to balance the two, or is it because you had that downtime that it was pretty chill?
At first, it was like, you know, pretty easy for me to just get fully wrapped up in it because it was like I couldn't skate. I had a lot of downtime because it was I had to get a new ACL, but my bone canal was like too wide for them to put it in, so I had to get a bone graft and get that plugged first. So it was like sitting like 8 months just without a ligament in my knee, and I had to like wait for that bone graft to heal, and like so it was just like training at the gym and just like getting so wrapped up in that was like what I did.
If
So
it felt fine with your knee, like boxing felt fine with no ligament and a fucked up leg.
no, it felt crazy.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't. My knee was like loose and everything, but my doctor told me like it's good to stay active. Um, Whatever. Like I just did boxing because it's just like for me to go to a gym and keep up with like exercising and stuff's pretty hard. So boxing was like something like jump roping, um, learning just like your stance and everything, balance. It was just something to do, you know.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. How'd you choose the gym you went to?
I went to CM Boxing Stables at first because it was by my house, and I was just there and uh, kind of was training for maybe a year out of there, and I ended up moving and going to Wildcard Gym, and I've been at Wildcard ever since.
Was
So,
Wildcard where they did the Thrasher thing?
no, that was my trainer works at Wildcard, but they did that gym was in Gardena called it was I'm drawing a blank. It was one of my trainer's friends' gyms. Shit, I can't even think of it.
Yeah, no worries. How did you end up coming across your trainer?
Well, there's like a couple skaters that went to Wildcard.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, this dude Santino, he's like a pretty rad boxer. He was amateur, and I would see him at the gym, and he said I was kind of just going there just to work out and stuff, like no trainer, and he told me I should link up with this dude Pepe Riley, who's like a one of Freddie Roach's like assistant trainers, and he's really good. So told me to link up with him, and I asked him if he would train me, and we've been together ever since.
So how long ago was this?
Probably 2 years ago.
Cool. So then you started training at Wildcard. You'd see like Freddie Roach, and who else would you see around there? I mean, isn't there a bunch of pretty like professional, well-known boxers who train out of Wildcard?
Oh yeah, like they have a downstairs private gym, and but you see like Freddie upstairs every day. Like he's just behind the counter hanging out. You see fighters coming in upstairs. Like I've seen Mark Mixayo and like a bunch of different dudes that you're just like, whoa. I seen like David Benavidez there, and just like a lot of random dudes. But you just see him and you're just like, oh wow.
Yeah,
It's
because
like,
I mean that's one of those gyms where people will come across the world just to do a kind of like a drop in, train there for a week or wherever.
yeah, yeah. Like they have camps and everything. They have dudes coming in for sparring. So in the parking lot, you see like some really nice cars, and you're just like, oh, someone big's here. So,
Yeah, yeah. Did it feel weird? Because like coming up skateboarding your whole life, you're probably so comfortable in that world. Then you go to this spot. I mean, the smell is different, the look is different, the type of people there are different, the sounds that you hear are different, and you're just kind of like you're like now the new Jack. Where like within skating, it's like you're far from.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it was a totally different change of pace because I didn't play any sports really like growing up. Didn't care for them. Never had like coaches or trainers or anything like that, and it's a totally different environment and everything, but it's pretty similar to skating in a way too, because it's just like you're putting yourself on the line, like body, mental, physically, and a lot of discipline. So for me, it was like easy to transfer over into that, but when I first started going, it was pretty nerve-wracking because you're just like it's like hand-on-hand combat. So
Yeah, yeah, and I mean boxing's pretty gnarly.
yeah,
Pretty gnarly too. Like people see like I mean at least this was my experience. Like homies of mine who know nothing about any type of combat sports or boxing or whatever. I'd be like, yeah, like I sparred for the first time today, or like yeah, like today's like sparring day. Like it might be pretty gnar, you know.
yeah,
They'd be like, but why? Like you're wearing like pretty thick padded gloves and like headgear. The gloves can be like 16 ounce, whatever,
Yeah.
pretty thick gloves and headgear, and like in theory, like I guess from an outsider's perspective, it's like you're straight.
Yeah.
It's like you're not straight, dude. That's like meant to protect your hands. So it's actually like it like lets you hit harder, and also the headgear so you don't get cut. You know, like that doesn't stop concussions, which is like the main problem.
Yeah. I mean, I think because the gloves are so big and because you can take so many blows, it's actually like in the long run not as good for you. But like people get knocked out all the time in sparring. It's
All the
like,
time.
yeah, it's all like just a normal occurrence, especially like bigger dudes and everything. You see like bigger dudes spar and like those punches when you're like at the ring, they sound like firecrackers. It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, and I mean, if you block them, that should still go. Like you still
Yeah,
get
you
impact.
feel it.
You feel it. Like that shit could knock you out if you block that shit. Like if the dude's strong enough.
No, for sure. Like people punch through gloves all the time. Like, yeah, it's a humbling sport. Like when you start getting into it and everything, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
So.
And you really realize how human you are.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you're not. There's someone who will smoke you.
Oh.
No matter how good you are.
Yeah, like that's like the purpose of sparring, I guess. Like you can, like some days are just like you feel good, and then other days you're just off. But like getting in there with like someone who's better than you is humbling for sure.
Yeah. How long were you boxing until they had you start sparring?
At CM Boxing Stables, they threw me in like right away, and I was just like, they kind of just want to see like what I was like in the ring. And I mean, it was funny because I just didn't know anything, and I would just like fight people, and it was like, whatever. And then going to wild card, and my trainer is just like really big on stance, balance, defense, and everything. So I completely fought differently from at those two different gyms. But yeah, like I started sparring right away, and it was definitely like a crazy experience.
Yeah, yeah. And your knee is all fucked up.
Yeah, my knee was messed up, and they had like a heavyweight that was an amateur at that gym, and he tuned me up pretty good a couple times. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you first start sparring, they have you go against someone who's way better than you, so he can kind of protect you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a way, like they're still gonna tune you up though.
Oh, he didn't hold back. Really.
Yeah, no,
so
dude,
I
that
was
sucks.
just like, yeah, I was like just fighting some dude, but whatever. I've never been knocked out, and I've never been knocked down. But
You ever
like,
gotten really dazed?
I've been hit pretty flush, like on my temple, where it just like flashed like a green static.
Yeah.
And, whatever. I know it's real, like getting knocked out and everything. You get hit in the right spot, like
Yeah.
it's kind of there's just shit that goes on, and like your brain shakes and stuff. So
It's also wild because like 3 minutes doesn't sound like shit until you're doing that.
yeah,
Then 3 minutes is like an eternity. You're like really out of breath. You look over, there's like 2 minutes and fucking 30 seconds left.
oh, and yeah, when it's like first starting out and you're just in there, like 3 minutes is eternal. Like it's feels so long, and you get so tired within the first minute or so, because you're just like you're not holding your breath, like loading up too much and everything. You're not relaxed. There's so much stuff that goes into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like eventually cardio and everything gets better, but like going 3 rounds of sparring at first was like torture.
No, like if someone the first time sparring can go 6, that's insane.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
No one's doing that.
Yeah, it's unless it's like a kid or something
Yeah.
that's just like a natural athlete, but there's so much to it, like breathing and knowing to control your power, and like relaxing and everything.
Yeah, missing punches gets you really tired.
Oh yeah, especially like if you like load up on a shot and you miss, it's just like
Yeah.
there's so much energy that you just wasted.
Yeah. How's your knee now?
It's great. Like I got ACL surgery, and it's been 2.5 years, I think, now, and it's been solid. Been skating, doing everything. So yeah, I'm stoked. Everything worked out.
You're not holding back at all when you're skating. Do you ever think about it?
I mean, I skate differently um, now because I used to just like jump down handrails, gaps, whatever, like without even thinking, stretching or anything. Now I kind of choose my battles more. So
Yeah, that ACL is ACL, LCL, MCL meniscus combination
yeah,
is the most fucked up thing. How did you even hurt it in the first place? I'm assuming it was skating.
yeah, it was skating, kind of like a multiple incidences because I was skating a rail and I kind of got wrapped around one of the crossbars and my leg hit it and it like jolted and that I think tore my MCL on the inside and like um I've already been through like a lot of knee stuff, so I was kind of freaked out and I didn't really want to go see a doctor about it because I was just like kind of nervous, you know. And I waited like a month and a half or so to see if it would heal, and I started skating again, but it was like still not there. And I jumped down like this gap, and my whole leg just went. So it was a mistake on my hand just to not go to a doctor right away, you know. So it is what it is, and
So it was the MCL first,
it was
which
the
probably
MCL
weakened the whole shit.
first, yeah, which my leg was unstable, and I jumped down a gap, and my whole leg just like went and snapped my ACL, meniscus, and I think it got PCL too, and they just like replaced all those ligaments and uh, kind of a big surgery, but uh, yeah, I just did my physical therapy and worked hard and eventually got back into skating.
How was PT? What'd they have you doing?
Uh, it was it's good. Like I worked with this dude Nick Cutry who he worked with like a lot of skaters. He helped Sean Malto get his ankle back, and he was like a really good dude, and he helped me out a lot. And uh, I worked with him with my other ACL surgeries because I've had three,
Oh shit.
and he helped me get through all that. But I mean, I was like drinking, like doing a lot of drugs, and that's not in really a good place. Like for my first few knee surgeries, and the last one, I got sober and worked with Nick and just did everything. But it was like it's hard at first because your knee's so different, you know. Like it doesn't feel this, like after each surgery it feels different. And there came a point where I was just like, man, like I don't know if I can skate ever again like the way I want to. And whatever, just went up and down with it, you know. And but just didn't give up at the end. So it I'm glad I kept at it and kept working because like I'm at a point where I can skate the way I want to, and my knee's strong and it feels good. Like not much problems with it. So
Did you get sober because of the knee thing?
it was like a combination of stuff. Um, like alcoholism has been in my family, and it just got out of hand for me. Like just would be getting into trouble. Like I blacked out every time I drank, and uh, knee issues, everything. Like my skating was going downhill, so it was like a combination of a lot of stuff.
Do you feel like boxing helped with that at all, or
I mean, for sure. Like I kept me focused, kept me like motivated to do something instead of just sitting around at home feeling sorry for myself,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say like keeping busy, getting into something that you are actually like you love and are passionate about is a blessing. So
What was the process like to getting fully sober? Were you doing like any programs, or were you just kind of doing it? I recently talked to someone, they kind of just did it on their own shit, but I know everybody has their own methods. Everyone has their own things that work for them. Like um I was talking to Stu Kirst, and he
mm-hmm.
kind of did it on his own shit more or less. But then like we were talking to Andy Roy, and he was obviously he went through like a whole thing to be able to do it. But at the end of the day, like both of them ended where they ended, which is like being clean and sober. How was your process like?
um it was not easy. Like for me, I struggled a lot because it was I would get sober and then I wouldn't, and it was going on and off for like years. So it took I think it just took a lot of like pain and suffering, I guess, to actually get me to like be like, all right, like that's it. And like I did was doing AA for a bit. I would go on and off with that, and I mean, yeah, it was a constant battle for me. So, but eventually, just was like, all right, enough is enough. Like my family, my dad struggles with it still, and it's like heartbreaking, to see what drugs and alcohol do to like a lot of good people.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like addiction is addiction in general is such a crazy thing because a lot of it is like psychological and mental, and it's like very probably like while there are things that are common throughout, it's very like inside of the individual. um like each person has their own little like version of it, if that makes any sense, and their own like version that they have to tackle with medicine that is going to work for them in their own way. So it's kind of hard to it's kind of like a crazy thing to approach, and especially for like anyone but the person to fully understand how they feel and like what they're going through. That's a crazy thing. It's awesome that you're at where you're at now. How long have you been sober for?
Um, I about 3 years now, like fully, because I had like a couple slip ups. But yeah, before that, like I had a couple years too. But it's just like I think a lot of stuff too is like a lot of mental health. When that gets brought up, because a lot of people with mental health issues just drown it out with like substances. So it is like a tricky subject because you don't know what people are going through internally, and uh, to there's just get people abuse like substances for different reasons.
Yeah. So what do you do today? In terms of like your daily routine or like your daily life, if there was a point when you were like drinking a lot and doing all that stuff and now you're not, does anything take its place? Um, you know, like making a living off of skating, you probably have like more free time or like time to decide what you want to do than most people. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
um I just keep busy, like I skate a lot, go to boxing a lot. mm, there's a lot of downtime with skating, and I think that's like a lot of a problem for like a lot of skaters too, is like dealing with the downtime. But I mostly just keep busy. Like I do a lot of stuff. I physically exhaust myself, and uh, I go about it like I've just exchanged bad habits for good habits now, and a lot of discipline.
So you're boxing and skating at the same time right now?
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
I mean, it's tiring too. Like, uh, it's hard to balance both of them at the same time because it's just like I love skateboarding so much too, and if I'm boxing too much, it hurts my skateboarding, and if I'm skateboarding too much, I'm not boxing. So I've been trying to balance it out a little better. Um, when I'm not skating, I'll go to boxing, and when I am skating, it's like I just focus on that too. But for me, it's like I'm an obsessive person, so uh, need to find like a better system to it. But I have been doing both like pretty uh, persistently.
Yo, respect, because that's a I've tried to do that, and I'm not a fucking pro skateboarder, or you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
I don't have to do that. I don't have to skate, and I don't have to do it on like a crazy level. I could just go outside and sit on a bench. You know what I mean? And I feel like for me, it was and is difficult to maintain any type of balance when it comes to that shit. Extremely hard. Like,
yeah,
because I'll often think of myself as like a thing. You know what I mean? I'll be like, oh, I'm like a skateboarder, or like, oh, I'm like a boxer, like, oh, I'm like a painter,
yeah,
or like, oh, I'm a graffiti writer. Like, I can't be skating too much, like, cause then what am I? Like, it'll be like a super subconscious thing. So I feel like that for me has always been like a thing. When you're boxing and skating, do you ever think that? Because boxers, like, they dress and look like the culture is just completely different from skateboarding,
totally.
and the people you're surrounded by.
I think like skateboarding, and it's like I am a skateboarder, you know, like that's who I am. I've always been a skate rat, like always will be. And I think boxing is just one of those things where it's like I've never been very like passionate about something besides skateboarding. So to me, it's like it's worth investing like that much time and everything, but like I don't consider myself a boxer. Like I don't fight amateurs or anything, even though I would like to. But that's like a whole different thing. It takes a lot of like time, and like if I want to do it, I want to do it to my fullest ability too. So, but for the most part, like yeah, like I consider myself a skateboarder who enjoys boxing.
That's so. What was your first when you started skating? Eventually you ended up starting to ride for companies and shit. What was the first setup of you riding for companies, and how did that happen?
Um, well, it wasn't like I had a long period of time where I was just getting random stuff. My homie Donovan Piscopo, who he rides for Nike and hockey too. I was kind of just like when he would ride for something, he would help me out with like some stuff. But that 1 in a million show kind of helped me get my foot in the door with Zero, and I was getting stuff from Vans too. So I would say like having done that contest and everything was like my start in skateboarding. Before that, there was like not much going on, you know.
Yeah. How was it when you started that? Did you feel, obviously you were probably extremely hyped, but then once you started doing that, did there ever come a point where what was like the drawing line of you being able to like make more of a living off of skating?
It was tough at first because you're not making much, you know. And I was working. Um, I was working pretty much full time and trying to skate on top of that. And it got to a point where I was starting to travel a lot with Zero, and it was like I'm either gonna do this or not, and just decided to focus on skating, not make much at first, and like definitely exciting because I never really traveled much uh, beforehand. Never really like went on any big trips or anything like that. So it was like to get to see like across the states and everything was really cool. So
What was the first trip you went on? Like the first big one?
Um, I would say I went to uh I went like across the country on a like zero DGK tour, and it was like a 2 month long trip, and that one just stands out to me because we literally drove from um, Carlsbad to Florida and skated like all over the states. So that was like a big change for me because it was just like never been really outside of like California too much before that, you know? So to see like the East Coast, a lot of like the southern states and like middle America and everything, it was just like a total change of scenery and everything.
You guys drove the whole way.
Oh yeah, we drove 52 hours straight, like didn't stop. It was it was like pretty
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was hectic.
You got any photos from that era?
Uh I do. I mean, if I could probably dig them up, but they were like I didn't have an iPhone or anything. They were just like old phones, so I don't know.
So from zero, you ended up going Alien, right?
Yeah, when eventually went to Alien Workshop and was there for a little bit, and like that kind of was going south too because Avondale quit and everyone just started uh, quitting. It was just like a Alien Workshop tried to like hold it together for a little bit without Avondale, and Grant left and Dylan left, and it kind of just like crumbled after that. I mean, they're still around, so they're still doing it. But as far as like that original team, everyone kind of went their separate ways and started hockey with Benny and Donovan, and been there since.
How's that been?
It's been great. It's like uh, to watch it expand to where it is now is like incredible.
So where are you at right now in terms of skating in your life? Like, where are your priorities, and are you filming for something?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been busy filming. Right now, I'm working on a video part for the FA and hockey video that's gonna come out maybe next year. So I've been working at that. Um, I've always just kept busy filming and everything. I've never really stopped. Like I'm always trying to do something, you know?
Does it feel weird? Does it change when skating becomes kind of a sometimes a responsibility? You know, you still love it. At the end of the day, it's like still what you grew up doing. It's still your passion and what you're invested in with or without paycheck. Um, but once like video parts have to be done or like photos have to be shot, how does that change it?
Uh, I mean, skateboarding's tough, you know? Like, uh, just from spots and everything. Like, grown up skating Los Angeles my whole life, and you kind of get to a point where you're like, you just run out of stuff to like skate spots to skate and everything, and you're just like trying to find new stuff. So there's just like a constant battle going on uh, with that. But I think it's just uh, when I have set my mind to something, like if I'm working on a video part, I'm going to do it to my best ability. So no matter what happens, I kind of just grind through it and figure out ways to go around it. So it's constantly changing, constantly adapting.
How was it skating for Nike?
That's great.
You were on Vans before, right?
Yeah, I was on Vans and then moved to Nike and just been there ever since. It's great. So they allow me to kind of have like a bit of a freedom. Like I'm not really asked to do too much just like they want me doing my thing, and like it's been great just riding for them and being able to be here now and make a living too. Is just like, without that I wouldn't be skating today, you know, like professionally.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's crazy. Um, you know, I've talked to a decent amount of people who skate for a living, and it's always like fascinating for me to hear about it because as someone who grew up skating and amongst my friends, like none of us are pro or anything like that, or made it to be pro, or like we maybe will know someone who made it to be pro or know someone who knows someone. But it's always like that thing that when you're younger, you kind of like, especially when you're really young and you first start skiing, you're like, oh, I got mad time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could get good enough or whatever. I could get, whatever it is. And I mean, you get there. I'm saying you, um, and it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope because then you're just doing what you actually love to do for a living, something that's relevant to your life, and you're just working in the industry that you kind of came up in, probably with people who you fucked with probably before you knew them.
Yeah. No, it's a trip to, like, because I was like a huge fan of Alien Workshop when I first started skating. Photosynthesis was like the first video I've ever had, and Anthony Van Engelen, Jason Dill, like those dudes were huge, you know, like at the DC video with Anthony and all that. So to grow up seeing those dudes and everything, and then end up like working with them and skating with them all the time is just like a total dream come true, you know, like um and yeah, it's just like you see a lot of my friends too, like Donovan, who's been my friend, like best friend for a long time, like him riding for the same companies and everything is just that's another thing that usually doesn't happen, you know. So it's it's been great. Like I love skateboarding. It's given me a lot, and to just be here and like the position I'm in is awesome.
How'd you meet Donovan?
I met Donovan at probably Cody's Courtyard, which was like a little hockey rink that they set up ramps in Covina, and we were both really young, but he was like, he's always been really good, like kind of a hometown hero. So we used to skate that, and um, ended up linking with like one of the a filmer that was like out of that area, and um, I don't know, we've been friends ever since, and that's like over probably 20 years like of just skating together and stuff.
Because you guys went from like company to company together, right? Like you guys kind of share the same sponsors and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Like um, he rode for Zero, and it's funny, like right when he left Zero to go to Workshop, I ended up riding for Zero, and uh, eventually went to Workshop too. But yeah, we've always kind of like, he rode for Nike first, and I rode for Vans, and then I eventually went to Nike. So it's been crazy. Like we go on trips together, like skate together all the time. So still, nothing's really ever changed, you know.
Did shit change for you when you got on Nike? Um, as one of the bigger, I mean, not even forget skate, like shoe companies, period, or just companies, period. You think of like the top companies ever. You think of like Apple, McDonald's, Nike, like those are the behemoths of companies. Skating for them, has that changed anything? Is it different from skating? Let's say for they're still a big company, but let's say for Vans, or not a shoe company, but like Zero, way smaller in comparison.
um yeah, I mean, stuff did change, but at the end of the day, it's just like I was still gonna skate the way I skate, and um Vans is a pretty big corporation too. So Nike and Vans, like, not that different in that aspect, but I would say traveling's a little different, and everything Nike takes care of you. So working with different people too is, I would say that's the biggest difference.
When you're traveling, like recently the tours you go on, how long are they? Because you're saying that 2 month tour.
Yeah, that was the longest one I've ever been on.
Yeah, it's like when you're doing some shit like that, like it must be so fun. Like the longest tour, if you could call it that, that I've ever been on with homies was like last time we came to LA. It was like
Mhm.
me and two of my homies for like 2 weeks, just on some DIY shit, whatever. But that shit was so fun. Can't imagine 2 months. You get back and it's like you don't even live at home anymore.
Yeah, totally. Like, and especially just not even traveling much before that and just doing that, I was just like, wow, like, I guess this is it. But like, it's great. Like, I love traveling. Nowadays it's like I don't travel as much, but there's still trips lined up for this video that we're working on, and we got to go to South Korea, which was pretty cool, like a couple months ago, and that was like an awesome experience too.
How is South Korea? I've never been.
That's great. Food's good. Like, it kind of reminded me of like New York a little bit, like where we stayed and everything. Like, everything was kind of like upbeat. People are really friendly, and there's like a lot of crazy skate spots too out there.
Are any of them knobbed? You know, now in New York, it's like every fucking building that gets built,
You
the
know,
shit comes knobbed.
yeah, I would like, it's very hard to skate in South Korea too, because like everything is such a bust. Like, you get kicked out of everywhere, so it's best to light up stuff and go skating at night. And just like a lot of the buildings and everything, there's a lot of people on the streets, and um, yeah, like we got kicked out of everywhere, but uh, just seeing all the new spots and going to like different places, always a cool experience.
Is it like China where a lot of the spots are super like just marble and super smooth?
Uh, it's actually, I mean, there's like spots like that, but there's like a lot of like pretty cool rugged stuff out there. Um, a lot of hills, like the ground's pretty bad a lot of places, but it's just a mixture of stuff. Like, they have marble plazas and everything, but they also have like some pretty cool, like, rough streets. So it's different.
Yeah. What do you got going on for the future? Do you have any plans or things that you're working on aside from the video and stuff?
Um, gonna try to like film some stuff for Nike video and just keep busy. That's my plan. It's just like I'm gonna skate and film and do whatever. I'm gonna box too, so
You should fight, bro.
my like, I've been talking about it with my trainer, and he's been trying to get me to do it for a bit now.
Oh, he wants you to do it.
Yeah, because I have like pretty good experience. It's just I don't know. If I were to do it, I would like be fully doing it.
Hell
You
yeah,
know?
you better be full. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you get really hurt in there.
yeah, for sure. So
And what do you weigh?
right now 200.
There you go.
Yeah,
Fucking giants, dude. Giants in the field.
yeah,
That's a different. It's a different type of weight.
yeah,
Those dudes hit you. It's like a truck.
yeah. No, I
There's a reason
started.
there's weight classes.
Yeah, uh, I used to be 230. Like, when I first started, I lost 30 pounds, like boxing and everything. So I owe that to boxing too. It's just like losing weight, getting in shape. Mm, yeah, I actually would like to fight at maybe 185 if I can. So
But that's with cutting water, right?
yeah, with like cutting water, um, I could lose like a little bit more weight too, just like walking around like what I walk around at. So we'll see. I mean, it's a goal of mine to eventually do it. Um,
Do people your height usually fight at 185? Is that the normal?
I mean, I would be pretty tall for that division.
For 185?
Yeah, like so we'll see. Like from what I've heard and everything too, it's like amateur boxing. You don't know. You just show up and you register, weigh in, and everything, and then you don't even know who you're fighting until like a couple hours later.
Yeah.
And if they sometimes they don't even match you up. So
When you say match you up, they mean like similar experience.
yeah, they've like line you up similar experience. Like if you haven't fought before, they're gonna find a person that's like your division who's only had like a couple fights or no fights at all. So
Yeah.
they try to like match it up fairly. But like I've heard of some like stories of like them getting matched up with like some dude who's just like way above their just like way better than them, you know, and they get like roasted. So
Have you heard of the Tyson Smoker fights?
yeah, like in house.
Early on, like when Tyson would when Mike Tyson would go to fights when he was like, I'm probably gonna butcher the age. It's in Teddy Atlas's book.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of talk about it maybe on some different interviews or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was like pretty burly, so he would go to fights, smoker fights in the South Bronx. From the Catskills, they drive over to the South Bronx, and they just have like a smoker, which is like pretty much an unsanctioned event where like on some like there's rules and shit, but it's just like not it's not legit, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And then the person would just come up to you and be like, how many fights your fighter have? And then trainers would be like, one. And Teddy Atlas would be like, if they said one, that means they had like six, because they're always downplaying. If they say six, if they say any number above like 8, that means don't fight that person. You know what I mean? Like they're lying crazy. And they would try to sign up Mike Tyson, and they'd be like, how old is he? And they'd be like 15, because he was 15 or whatever age he was. It was super young.
Yeah.
And then they'd look at him and be like, dude, like stop playing. Like he's clearly not 15. And they'd be like, no, he's 15. And they'd be like, no, he's not. So then Teddy Atlas would be like, or whoever was bringing them to the fights would be like, no, so fuck it then. He's 18, then fuck it. You think he's 18? He's 18. When he wasn't. And then he would go fight like a 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old and smoke them when he's 15 years old. But yeah, it was like at those crazy unsanctioned events, like where it's kind of like amateur, almost like below amateur, like who knows what's going on.
Yeah, like in-house gym stuff.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, I heard he was knocking out grown-ass men at like 15, 16. So he was a special fighter for sure.
Yeah, he would like need new sparring partners like every day.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how many sparring partners that dude went through. Like, that would not be fun.
Nah. But yo, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah. No, thank you guys.
I appreciate it, yo.
Yeah.
Peace.